Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'll be playing another premiere draft of the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth. Without further ado, let's get into our draft. Tons of great places to be here for our Pack 1 Pick 1. We've got a Fall of Gil-galad for probably the strongest card, but it does tie us into the weakest color in the set in green. There's a Rise of the Witch King, which is a really nice green-black uncommon here. Pretty fun to use this. You can use some of the land cycling creatures, and then you can reanimate them from your grave after making each player sack a creature. There's also Torment of Gollum for a pretty great black common, and 3 excellent blue commons: Lorien Revealed, Deceive the Messenger, and Birthday Escape. I think it'd be pretty fair to take the Fall, the Rise of the Witch King, the Torment, or the Birthday Escape here, but I think I'm actually going to go for Birthday Escape. Very, very big fan of having the Ring tempt us and getting some ring bearers going, and Birthday Escape's a really cheap, really consistent way to do that. One of the best blue commons, if not the best blue common. I think it's just a pretty excellent way to start a draft. And for Pack 1 Pick 2, we can just stick to blue and take a Lorien Revealed. This is quite nice in the blue-black and blue-red archetypes. Both of those care a lot about having instants and sorceries in grave, where you can run this over a land and then you're just ditching a sorcery into your grave every time, grabbing an island, but also 5 mana draw 3 is just really good in the format. It's certainly a back to basics enough limited set where just getting a good amount of card advantage, like a 3-for-1 off of a draw 3, does play very well. So we'll just dive headfirst into blue here, Birthday Escape into Lorien Revealed, see if we get any of those solid blue commons from our opening pack back, and if we do, then we can be really happy about being in blue in general. That's a pick 3 Gollum, which is kind of wild. Maybe I'm supposed to jump into black here because of that, but we could also just take Birthday Escape and just keep purely on blue for now. I think Gollum is enough stronger, and being pick 3, meaning 2 people past this Gollum, that's a decent enough signal. I mean, a rare and an uncommon was taken over Gollum, but there's not a lot of rares and uncommons that are much better than Gollum in this format. Card is pretty absurd. So I think I'm gonna take Gollum here and expect to get past some amount of black cards. And we do get past a blue-black rare. There is a Sauron's Ransom here. This is a great one. 3 mana for an instant speed bit of card draw that also has the Ring Tempts You. You get 2 cards out of your top 4. Your opponent does a whole little mini game about it where they sort it into 2 piles, but it doesn't matter too much. If you're getting any 2 cards off of this, it's a very good deal at instant speed. So take Sauron's Ransom here and still be kind of happy to be potentially pushing into black. There's Easterling Vanguard, Oath of the Grey Host, and Ambush still here. These are all very solid cards. So while we'll probably not get a lot of black cards in pack number 2, because that's when we're going to get passed from the people on our left, which we've just passed a ton of black cards to, pack 3, where we're going to get passed from the people on the right again, judging by how pack 1 has gone, we'll probably get a few more black cards there to wrap up the deck. So now we have Soothing of Smeagol for some bounce, some interaction that also has the Ring Tempt Us. That's what I think I'm going to take here, but we could also take the Stern Scolding for a counterspell against smaller creatures, and Arwen's Gift for big card draw. All of these are pretty great, but I'm going to get another Ring Tempt card. Then everything that we've drafted, except for Lorien Revealed, can potentially have the Ring Tempt Us. We can really stack on that value. Pack 1 Pick 6, now we can go ahead and take the counterspell, grab the Glorious Gale. Elrond is fine, but never super exciting, so we'll take Glorious Gale here. And Ambush is great for creature-heavy decks, but we look much more controlling and very creature-light right now, so we'd rather have the Gale. Pick 7, Isolation at Orthanc is perfectly reasonable. Nasty End is definitely not good in blue-black, because we have better card draw just by being in blue. I'm actually not going to be incredibly excited about the isolation, so I could speculate towards white, grab a Stalwarts of Osgiliath for another Ring Tempt card, or a Protector of Gondor just for nice stats for the mana cost. Landroval is a solid card as well, but again, it's one of those cards for a creature-heavy deck, which is not really what we're doing. I think I'm still going to take Isolation, but I think Stalwarts makes the most sense with all of our Ring Tempting if we take an off-color card, and Protector's just the strongest one in general. Taking an off-color card there. Alright, Bill really does basically nothing. Knights of Dalamroth does get slowly bigger over time. First time you attack with a level 2 Ring Bearer, it turns into a 4/4. Then it goes to a 5/5 and so on, but it's just pretty unexciting. I'll just take an Eagles of the North for potential land cycling, mana fixing. Pick 9, Lorien Revealed. So we did get one of the incredible commons back, so we're very happy to be in blue. Black a little less so. Black did dry up after a while, but that's because it got to the point where the people on our left had taken a card out of those packs, so I'm hoping we can still find some black cards in pack 3, but we're not so tied into black that we can't just choose a different second color in pack 2 if we can get a bunch of good cards in that color. And I'm not a big fan of the Leechcraft. I would rather have removal in my secondary color, whatever that ends up being. Guess I'll just take a Kingfisher here, which would be pretty great in some other formats, but just hasn't played super well in this format because there's just so much better cards, or like the draw 3s and stuff. That just a little 1-for-1 value dork like that is not insane. Kind of want to take Westfold Rider here. Got a little bit of a white backup plan. Yeah, Lost to Legend. White looks like maybe the secondary color we'd want to get into, based on just having the highest quantity of cards coming back, and if we open up Faramir, maybe that's the place to be. Faramir is a completely absurd card, definitely the best card in this pack. 4 mana for a 3/3 at the beginning of your end step, choose an opponent. At the beginning of that player's end step, you draw a card if they didn't attack you, and get 3 1/1s if they did. Even if they immediately blow up Faramir with removal, you're going to get 1 trigger off of this. You're going to get the draw card or the 3 1/1s, so no matter what, it's like a 2-for-1 value, and if it stays on the board, it becomes almost unbeatable doing that every single turn. So we're going to take Faramir here, at the very least splash it, but probably try to just be blue-white now. One thing that's a little sad about this is we are passing on Claim the Precious, which could give us a great black spell, but again, seeing as black dried up a lot during the second half of pack 1, black is probably not as open as it was looking when we got past Golem early, and it's probably better to be in blue-white than blue-black anyway. Even if we can scoop up good black cards, pick 1, pick 2 maybe. Now we've got an incredible blue counterspell. Saruman's Trickery can counterspell and give you a creature. With that, Amass 1. I will happily scoop that up. I feel like the most likely occurrence here is where blue-white splash a Sauron's Ransom. As this is a non-creature spell, it's just a card draw spell. We don't need to cast this till very late in the game, so we don't need to have our black source till later, so we can run like 3 swamps and be happy with it. Golem, if we've got like a Golem anytime early in the game and we don't have the black source, we're pretty unhappy, but Ransom is usually going to be one of the last spells you cast, so you can definitely wait on that card. Speaking of splashing, here's an Inherited Envelope. We're already having a lot of cards that get the ring to tempt us, that get some ring bearers going, and this will add to that pile while giving us a way to help splash in the Sauron's Ransom, as well as anything else we might find. Pretty happy to take that. Pack 2, pick 4, that's a late Eowyn, oof. Somebody's gonna have the busted red-white humans deck. There's a Theoden and an Eowyn here. We're pretty far from either of those. I guess we could be blue-white splash red. Theoden wouldn't be great in that kind of deck because we're more controlling, but Eowyn would still be good off of a splash, I think, in a more controlling deck, because she's a removal spell and a creature all in one, and even if she dies, whatever she exiled just remains exiled forever, which is kind of nuts. So I'll take Eowyn here. We could also play it safe and just take the Errand Rider of Gondor for a good value play, but we're potentially doing some splashing with the envelope here. So we'll grab the Eowyn. Now we have a Soothing Smeagol versus an Errand Rider of Gondor. Like both of those a lot. Again, not really an aggro Theoden style deck, but whoever is going to have a very good time with this draft pod. Let me check my creature curve here. Assuming we have very few, and that would be a fair assumption. Got a good amount of the ring tempting, so we should be able to have a ring bearer be a legend. I feel like Errand Rider's probably pretty good here. Get some more creatures into this deck. Deceive the Messenger is great. Pelargir Survivor is also awesome. I think I have to go for Pelargir Survivor. It's a very good ring bearer because of its low power and high toughness. It's also going to be mana ramp for all of our instant sorcery spells, which we've got a lot. And it's going to be fixing for our instant sorcery spells, which is kind of important in this deck because it can help splash in our Sauron's Ransom, and it can help hit double white on Lost to Legend. So I actually think Pelargir Survivor is great here. Deceive the Messenger would also be awesome, but I think Survivor is going to be an MVP for this deck. All right, now I'll speculate on a Fiery Inscription. I doubt that I get pushed into a position where I can fully become the blue-red spells deck, where we're burning our opponent out with this thing, but there's nothing else in this pack we're really going to play. There's a Leechcraft, Medicine, and a Blade, so we'll speculate on that. It's the most likely card to get played, even if it is unlikely. Now we can take a Stalwarts of Osgiliath. More ring tempting value. Just gets bigger over time. I think Esquire is particularly good in this deck, but there was nothing else in that pack. I'm not going to splash in a Black Breath. I would have taken that if... Wow, pick 11 Rally at the Hornburg. Good lord. I would have taken that if this were best of 3 draft, but it is a premier draft, so it's going to be best of 1. I'm pretty low on removal. I might have to play You Cannot Pass. I would generally just really not want to do that, but probably low enough on removal we might have to. Alright. Interesting position here. I cut these 2 red cards and just splash in the 1 Eowyn. We've got a full deck already. But we do have some cards that are really bad with our creature curve, like a Now for Wrath, Now for Ruin, with so few creatures and stuff, so we're gonna have to do some work getting this deck more streamlined. Well, I said I need to get this deck more streamlined, but I'm already splashing for an Eowyn, and now I want to splash for an Eomer as well, which gets the deck less streamlined, but more powerful in general. I'm gonna take Eomer here. The safe, streamlined pick is to take a great blue common like Birthday Escape, Deceive the Messenger, or Lorien Revealed, but in for a penny, in for a pound, let's get this red splash in here. Let's get this red splash in here. There's a Gandalf Sanction. Some great black cards being opened as well. We opened Claim the Precious, got past Nazgul. So that's insane, but we take Gandalf Sanction for sure, I think. Now, nothing great in white. We've got Saruman the white out of blue, Soothing of Smeagol out of blue as well. Now that I have Gandalf Sanction and Fiery Inscription, maybe we are on that blue-red pivot splash white instead? I mean, that's 20 cards right there. If we're splashing Eowyn and Faramir, and we can use the Eagles of the North as a splash enabler as well. It's another envelope for fixing, but I should just take a blue spell like Soothing or Saruman. I'll take Saruman here. There's a Smite the Deathless for early burn, or a Pippin in blue-white. Wow. Pippin makes it really annoying and really hard to kill non-Pippin creatures. So basically a Lightning Rod for removal. Your opponent has to kill the Pippin before they deal with anything else. But most people are running enough removal that they can do that. They can just kill the Pippin. I think I'd rather just get more focused on the spells deck here and take a Smite the Deathless, but certainly we could just stick to blue-white and just be blue-white splash red instead, but I like getting into that blue-red spells nonsense here with Smite the Deathless. Now Deceive the Messenger. Great way to slow your opponent down. You can just fully kill a 1-1, a 2-1, or a 3-1 while keeping a 1-1 of your own. Great 2-for-1 play early in the game. Soothing is great too. We'll take Deceive here. Forces of the Brunins, awesome. Kind of expensive at 5 mana, but you can bounce their gigantic army token and another one of their creatures, and the Ring Tempts You and you scry. So much value that it is worth it. Okay, I have such a low creature count, and I'm planning to cut more that I'm just going to sort out by the curve in general to see when I'm casting my spells generally. I don't think we're playing any of these cards. None of this stuff is good for this Blue-red spells deck. I guess Banish from Adoris off the splash could be fine. Get some actual removal for larger creatures. Okay, there's stone cold nothing here. I guess I don't have a playset of Forge Anew yet. If you ever want to check how many of anything you own in your collection, you can hold down the Alt key while drafting on PC. I don't think there's a way to do it on mobile. And I assume if you're on Mac, you hold down the Options key. If Mac keyboards are the same as they've been in the past. I have not touched a Mac since high school. Alright, another Deceive the Messenger comes back to us, and we are incredibly happy to see that. Now we've got a Wizard's Rockets to help get Eowyn in here, or Shire Terrace to help get Eowyn in here. Neither are great. We definitely need to run one of them. I guess I'll go for the Terrace, because I'm already going to run one Plains for Eagles of the North. And this lets me just go Shire Terrace, Eagles of the North, one Plains in the whole deck and be perfectly happy. Ithlane Knots is super playable for this archetype. Rare draft a Tale of Tenuvial. Slam a Captain of Umbar into the sideboard, and we've still got to make some cuts, so we've got a very full deck here. We can cut some of these dirtily blue creatures and get focused on a bunch of non-creature spells so that we can trigger Gandalf Sanction as often as possible. Or sorry, we can trigger Fiery Inscription as often as possible, and we can make Gandalf Sanction as large as possible. That's what we want to do. Alright, so first and foremost, edit the mana a little bit. We'll edit it again when we're done, but for now, we're fairly certain we're going to want one Plains, one Swamp. Then we can use Shire Terrace or the Swamp to get the black source for Ransom, or Envelope or Pelargir Survivor, and we can use Shire Terrace, Plains, Eagles of the North, Inherited Envelope for the white source for Faramir and Eowyn. So this does balance out to one more white source than black sources in general, and I think that's where we want to be. We also have 2 Lorien Revealeds for Land Cyclers and 1 Eagles of the North for a Land Cycler. The Eagles of the North is almost 100% of the time going to be land cycled, but for that like 10% of the time where we already have the Plains, we draw it late, does give us something better than just running another Plains, I think. So I do think I want the Eagles in over just a second Plains. But because I'm going to be land cycling it the majority of the time, and I have 2 Lorien Revealeds for land cyclers, we can definitely cut at least 1 land here and still be functionally at like an 18 land count. So we'll cut 1 mountain, and that should put us at, let's see, 13, 14, 15, 16 lands total, plus 3 land cyclers, which feels like a pretty good count there. And now we have 4 flex spots to cut whatever we want. Probably cut Banish from Adoris to keep that white splash as simple as possible, with just 2 cards off the splash. And then cut some dirtily blue creatures, get really focused on instants and sorceries. So taking a look through the curve here, finding where we have some dorky creatures. There's not a lot of them, but there are a few that are very dorky in here. Kingfisher's probably the best of the dorky creatures, but it's still a dorky creature. Greyhaven's Navigator, pretty loose, pretty bad. There's Isolation. Knights is very dorky. So there's 3 dorky creatures, and we've got 3 cards to cut, so we just drop those 3 out, and we've got a deck there. Take another peek at it. Looks pretty good to me. We'll have to double check our mana. So again, Shire Terrace can grab whatever land we need. Eagles of the North can grab a Plains. The double Lorien Revealed can grab an island if we need it. So we are at 16 blue cards, 16 blue cards, 7 red, 3 white, 1 black. 1 swamp, definitely correct. We don't want more than that. We might want less, because we could play Ransom off of Envelope and Pelargir Survivor, technically. But I think I still want to have the 1 swamp in here, just in case. And then, yeah, 3 white cards. We've got 1, 2 white sources, plus Shire Terrace, plus Envelope. 1, 2, 3, 4 white sources total, basically. It's fine with me. And then it's 16 to 7 in terms of blue versus red, which is, we're at 10 and then 5. is probably where we want to be. We have no double red cards. We only have one red card that really needs to get cast turn 2, and that's Rally. And then Fiery Inscription can't really wait either, though. 10 blue sources, 5 red. Maybe that's a little high towards red, or towards blue. But I don't want to cut a blue source, because we need blue badly. The majority of our spells are blue. We have several double blue cards, like Trickery, Horses the Brunin, Lore Revealed if we're not cycling them. I really kind of want another mountain, but I don't want to cut an island for it, so I'd have to just like drop a swamp here and hope to get there off of Envelope Pelargir Survivor for the Sauron's Ransom. Doesn't feel like the best thing to do. I guess, I mean, we still have Pelargir Survivor being able to cast 3 of our 5 red spells. Or 4 of our 6. 4 of our 7. Alright, Pelargir Survivor can cast 4 of our 7 red spells. Envelope can cast all of them. And we've got 6 natural red sources. Well, 5 natural and 1 that can search 1 out. Might be okay. That's probably going to be the biggest issue with our deck, is certainly going to be mana-wise. But again, with Trickery, with enough cheap blue spells and blue spells in general that we want to cast 2 in 1 turn a lot of the time, we really need to hit double blue very consistently, so I don't want to cut down from the 8 islands here. I think we're going to run the mana base like that, and call it a deck there. Alright, here's a look at our final deck list for today. We're on a blue-red spells deck, splashing in a little bit of white and a little bit of black for some very powerful cards. We've got Faramir, Prince of Ithilien off of the white splash. That is going to give us great value, even if it dies immediately, and if it doesn't, it's going to completely take over the game, drawing us extra cards, spitting out extra 1/1s, just doing a lot of ridiculous stuff during our opponent's end step every single turn. We've got Eowyn off of the white splash to be a really nice removal spell, exiling a large creature off of our opponent's board and chipping away for a couple points of damage in the meantime with that haste. We've got Sauron's Ransom off of the black splash, and that's just a very good card draw spell that also has the Ring Tempt Us. So we've got a lot of great blue and red spells in general. That is the core of the deck. Lots of instants and sorceries, with the 2 classic win conditions that you always want: the Fiery Inscription to burn our opponent out as we're casting instants and sorceries, and the Gandalf Sanction to finish them off once our graveyard is full. Not too much else to say about this deck. The main spicy thing or special thing about it is the crazy splashes. That's also the most risky thing about it. The mana base is not perfect. We just have 1 Shire Terrace, 1 Envelope, few land cyclers, and we're just hoping to draw the right colors at the right times for those splashes. So that's the main thing to note about it. Everything else, I've played a lot of blue-red spells decks on this channel before. I'm sure you all know the drill. Deceives, Smites, Breakings for burn spells, bounce spells like Soothing, counter spells like Gale, Trickery, all of the classic stuff here again today. But that is the deck list. Without further ado, let's head into the gameplay and see how it does. Here we are on the play for game 1. There's definitely risk to this hand, but we have 10 blue sources in this deck. So if we find a blue source in like the top 4 cards, we'll be pretty good. And 1 out of 10 cards in our deck is a blue source. Out of the 32 that are left, it's even higher than 1 out of 10 now. So statistically speaking, we should be able to find a blue source in the top 4 relatively easily. And we use that to cast Sauron's Ransom and then start things off. But even if I don't hit it turn 3, we can just play Inscription first and then Ransom later. I think I still want to play Inscription first. We did hit it turn 3 here, which is great. So now I can Inscription. Then next turn I'll probably Ransom. And then the turn after that I try to Horses. So I try to get Ransom to find another blue source for us. Ooh. Mordor Muster into Trebuchet is going to spit out a lot of damage early here. There's a Glorious Gale. That's not a bad draw at all, because I already get to hold up Ransom since it's an instant. So now I have a backup counterspell. If they play something really bad, I can counter that instead. Yeah, with Mordor Trebuchet, I would classify that as really bad. If it weren't for Trebuchet, I'd probably let that resolve and just ransom here, but with Trebuchet, that's going to be doing an additional 2 damage every turn, not even counting its 2 flying power. Alright, we find a Deceive the Messenger to kill their army now, if they don't amass again. And that would just shut off the Trebuchet if we can get that to happen. So I will go for that over ransoming here. Uruk-hai Berserker. This could be an issue if they make the army the ring bearer, because then we can't deceive it. Okay. We can still deceive and kill the army without losing a creature. But it might be better to stop more damage here. Or Sauron's Ransom to guarantee a Horses of the Bruinen. I mean, it's going to stop a lot of damage in the long run if we can just stop their army from existing, but now they have another orc. I guess that's the real issue, is now even if I kill the army, the Berserker attacks and makes the boulder. So now I kind of have to find the blue source for horses and then bounce Berserker in the army, but then they get to replay the Berserker and get level 2 of the ring, which is also really bad for me. I do not have a great amount of options here right now. I just don't have a lot of great options in general. If I don't hit a land next turn, I have so few options. Like, I have literally no options. If I just deceive, then all I do next turn is ransom and hope to find a 2-drop. If I deceive now, then yeah, all I have next turn is a ransom. So we'll go for the ransom and try to find a land so that we have these options available, but we might be stumbling on our mana a little too long. Definitely getting a loss to our deck's greatest weakness if we do get the loss here. Neither of these are an island. It's pretty awkward. I think I need to choose the face down pile. Perfect. Okay, that is definitely better than the face up pile. And we kind of just didn't have any choices there. It was 2 pieces of mana or 2 pieces of mana. Okay. So I can horses, kill the army, bounce the Berserker, let them get level 2 of the ring. That doesn't feel super profitable, but it slows down the damage the most. And then next turn I can Saruman plus Deceive, which is pretty good. I could also just cast an Eomer and do nothing, cast a Saruman and do nothing. I think I'm going to let them get that next level of the ring to just take a lot less damage here. I don't love it. I think I ditched that. No, 1-3. 1-3 is really good at blocking ring bearers. We'll keep it. That is actually something that's really awkward about Saruman here. Is that Saruman plus Deceive, another rally, that is super good. Saruman plus Deceive would mean that my army would be a 3-3, and it could not block the ring bearer of theirs. So I might have to Eomer plus Deceive instead, just so I have 1-1s. Just so I have a 1-1 that can block their ring bearer. And then next turn we play Saruman plus Pelargir Survivor. That is the best way to get as many creatures on this board as possible. Eomer plus Deceive is 2 creatures. Saruman plus Deceive would be 2 creatures as well. It would just be a slightly bigger second creature, which I don't think we even want. But now next turn, Saruman plus Pelargir Survivor will be 3 creatures. Well, that's pretty bad. Now we are dead to Trebuchet's trigger. Alright. Stumbled a tiny bit too much. We did still get them down to 11, and this turn we would get rid of their ring bearer. Go down to 3 if it weren't for Trebuchet, or go down to 2 if it weren't for Trebuchet. Then Saruman the White and Pelargir Survivor would be Really good way to stabilize, but it's kind of Mordor Trebuchet's game there. Kind of took it the whole way, thanks to the Uruk-hai Berserker to follow up the army. Alright. Not a ton we could do there. Definitely stumbling on mana a bit. The deck's biggest weakness. Coming in hot, granting us our first loss. We are going to be 0-1 as we head into game 2. Thinking back to the last game, if we played it out differently, and we went full control, don't even plop a win condition out yet, and we just went for ransom over inscription, that is probably the biggest decision of that game. If we ransomed instead of inscription and just got that out of the way immediately, found that second island, we would have had a much easier time stabilizing mana-wise in terms of what we could cast. So I think it's actually incorrect to say that there was nothing we could do. In hindsight, ransom instead of inscription would have been the play, and that could have helped get us there. So maybe we should have just been on that immediately, seeing our opponent getting aggro with like rally into trebuchet, or muster into trebuchet. I think I need to lock this in, make sure this is a land here. So we'll Island Cycle Lorien Revealed. Drawn to a Pelargir Survivor. Sure. Drop that out so I have more mana up next turn. Palantir of Orthanc. Well, that's one of the biggest bombs in the format. Turn 3 Palantirs. Really hard to beat. I'll do my best. Turn 3 Inscription. We have Inscription and Sanction. We can try to race. Drop this thing out, we're still holding up Deceive. Actually might be worth hitting for the 1 damage instead of holding the Vanguard off. Because I need to outrace a Palantir. So every little point of damage counts here. But then I'm not holding up Deceive, so I just take the full 2. It's gonna be ambush or something? Alright, that is not going to do anything. They do get a food token, which slows us down. Ooh, they got Nazgul as well. Some premium cards out of black here. Vanguard, Ambush are pretty solid commons, and the Nazgul is a incredible uncommon. Do the mill again. We can't just let them scry 2 draw a card every single turn. So keep milling them until we go down to like sub 10, and then we have to just let them draw. Scry 2 draw a card every turn is insane. And they're getting very close to that. What am I doing here? I've got 4 mana up. I can play Hithlane Knots and Deceive the Messenger. Probably the line. Tap Nazgul, scry 1, draw a card, and then hold up Deceive. Sure. I will cash in my 1 damage this time. I think it was correct not to attack with Survivor last time because we stopped the Vanguard damage. This time I think we definitely gotta just get it in here. Since we have Knots plus Deceive. Horses of the Bruinen? I have to hit land 5 for that, but it's strong. I mean, land 5 gets Aomer as well. I think I need land 5 enough to just ditch that. Yep, especially if there's a Breaking of the Fellowship underneath it. Would have played real bad to keep it. And then just draw into Breaking of the Fellowship for the turn. Take the block. I'd rather have a 2/2 orc. I can have a 2/2 orc. I guess I might as well. Then I have a 2/2 against their 1/1 instead of the other way around. Want to cast it either way to get some ping damage on them. There's a Saruman the White. Once again, begging for land number 3. 13 life. This is the point where I'm at risk of just dying if I lose the life. Because they've got 3 counters on it, so if they hit a land cycler like the 6-drop 6/5 troll, they could go 6/3/3. That'd still be 12, which isn't quite lethal, but then I die to anything. I have to be pretty lucky to be 6/3/3. I think I take one more hit, and then they just get extra cards every turn. Alright, down to 5. Alright. Land 5 was the difference between a win and a loss here, I think. Because land 5 would let me kill Saruman without tapping Pelargir Survivor, which is the necessary play. I guess I can still Breaking of the Fellowship? Because the creature itself deals damage? Okay. No, we're still in it. This is Ward 2. Yeah, we're still in it since they've got a Death Toucher. But missing land 5 is still really bad. I think I'm going to chump with the Orc Army, so we'll keep the Ring Bearer on the Pelargir Survivor. But I don't think I'm attacking with it this turn anyway, so I can block the 1/3. Or block the 1/1 with our 1/3. Ring Tempts them again. Nazgul gets large. I don't know why they moved the Ring Bearer around. Unless they have a combat trick here, that'd be a really weird line. Must be a combat trick. They just kept it on Nazgul. I can't kill Nazgul and they can just keep doing that. Okay. They have Deceive. Still keep Survivor at least. But that does mean they get to attack with the Ring Bearer and not lose it there. Alright. Still need that land here. There we go. We found the land, but it might be a little too late. I mean, I can send an Aomer in and still have 2 blockers up. It's gonna be a real close one here. If I can survive the next turn, I can potentially find lethal off of Gandalf Sanction next turn. I just go chump chump here, and then I attack with Aomer and Sanction again. Well, again, Sanction for the first time. With Fiery Inscription's trigger as well. Well, now I'm dead. That's frustrating. Birthday Escape plus Black Breath means double Ring Tempt, the ring's level 4, they kill one of my blockers, I can chump 1 and take 5 because Nazgul gets bigger and the army can deal an extra 3 when it hits me. Alright, you got it. I think getting the land just 1 turn earlier at any point would have won us the game. They were at 6 there, and Sanction would have hit their face for... I mean, we would have shot that for 2 and their face for 4, plus Inscription triggers. So we hit their face for 6 total, which is lethal. We just get the 1 Aomer attack in a turn earlier than we did. So, just 1 turn sooner on a land, and we win the game. Alright, Nazgul doing disgusting Nazgul things there. That's the other part. If this were any other dork, then even the double Ring Tempts and kill a blocker doesn't kill us. But because it was specifically Nazgul, the Nazgul got bigger twice that turn to make it so I can chump the Ring Bearer and stop that 5 damage, but then Nazgul still does 5. Either way, I take the exactly 5 damage and die. Unfortunate start to this draft, 0-2 so far. There are definitely things that we could be choosing differently in gameplay. Yeah, I think game 1 I would have played differently. If I get into that game in the future, I will just Sauron's Ransom first rather than just leading with the Fiery Inscription, so I can set up my mana and have enough of the correct mana to actually establish a bit of a board state and get blocking. That, I think I would count as a misplay. Game 2, I mean, it was Palantir Vorthank doing Palantir Vorthank things. Yes, I'm the one who chose to get shot in the face. But I think it's correct to do that, even at 13 against the 3-mil, because they only scryed 1 to the top, so we know that the other 2 are blind. And worst case scenario on the one they scryed to the top is maybe it's a 6-drop. We just got pretty unlucky that it was a 6-drop and they hit another spell blind on that mill to get down to the 5. And even then, getting down to the 5 doesn't necessarily mean we're dead. They had to hit 2 Ring Tempt cards, including one that killed our blocker, in order to kill us there, and they just did hit that naturally off the top. So, game 2, I think I would play that the same way every time, because there's variance in what happens when you choose to take that Palantir damage. We just happen to get shot quite a lot. And even getting shot quite a lot by the Palantir, it took multiple additional specific cards to find a kill on us. So we're playing against blue-green Scry here. Nobody's really doing much of anything yet, but they're setting up their draws with their Scry 1 Dork. I'll just rally here. Hold my 1/3 up to block the lookout, and we're just hanging out. I could smite the lookout if I really want to, after I block with Pelargir Survivor. It might be worth it, because blue-green, there's a lot of different legendary creatures, and even just commons that aren't legendary that will get bigger. Oh. Well, that's pretty bad for me. Now I can't smite the lookout. Oh, they cast it too late to kill a 1/1, I guess. Anyways, I was going to say, killing the lookout might be worth it, because if they get any of the creatures that get bigger every time they scry, it's going to be really bad for me, like a Chance Med Elves. But now that they made the lookout a 3/6, I'm going to have to just smite the elves instead. I could stop all the damage and knots the lookout and then smite the elves, but... yeah, I mean, I've got 3 just nonsense cards here. I need to dig. Let's get the Scry 1 draw card. Find a Breaking of the Fellowship, that works. Now I can use that and still have smite at another time. Well, I mean, we've hit our perfect mana here, in terms of colors at least, I guess. So that's pretty cool. Now we're just racing, letting them scry every turn. Probably should have played the mountain here, in case they dropped another Chance Med Elves. I think I was sand. I guess that means they're not playing a creature this turn. Okay. I was gonna say they're about to play a sand creature. I haven't been paying attention to their creature types. I'm into it. Antelope, octopus, sand. Okay. Alright, now I've got all my fancy colors on board. I guess I should just crack a Shire Terrace to thin my deck a teeny tiny bit. What creature type now? Tree folk. That means they're going to play something big. Alright, we're going to have to bounce that thing. Even though the ring gets to tempt them again when they replay it. That is large. I should wait till they choose the ring bearer, because maybe they'll put it on the tree folk. They did not put it on the tree folk. Alright. If I waited till after the scry, then it takes them a little longer to redraw the tree folk, but I think it's fine. Draw. Find the horses that Bruinen, then we bounce Lookout Treefolk next turn. Alright. Probably, again, should have... should have waited till after the scry to use Isolation at Orthanc. But it worked out well for me, because now I can horses next turn super easily. I think if I draw a land, I'll actually have the mana to use horses and hold up a Trickery for when they try to recast the Treefolk after that. Because the Shire Terrace is going to be my third blue source, and the Pelargir Survivor is the fourth. Now they scry one, draw a card, discard a card. Just gonna crack the Shire Terrace now before I forget. We do hit the land that we need to go horses, hold up Saruman's Trickery. And that's gonna be beautiful. Draw into a Fiery Inscription, which will make something a level 4 Ring Bearer. I have to ditch this Smite though, which is awkward. There's the Trickery. And then we make a level 4 Ring Bearer, and that's lethal on board off of that. And there you go, we have found one victory. We are now 1-2 as we head into game number 4. Alright, here we are for game 4. We're going to have to use the Shire Terrace to find a mountain. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with the hand. Probably need to Island Cycle the Lorien Reveal to guarantee we're getting to these 5 drops. Hold up Soothing a Smeagol in case they play a busted 2-mana creature, but we're likely to just crack the Shire Terrace in the end step. And here we go. Grab the mountain. Find another mountain. There's an Eowyn. Just slow them down here. Sure. Level 1 in the ring doesn't really matter. We can have the ring tempt us with no creatures on board during level 1 and be perfectly happy with that. Smite is not big enough to kill an Eowyn. Ambush would be pretty gross here. +1/+2 death touch. Just kill an Eomer, don't even lose Eowyn because she got that big booty. Just thick. 4 toughness, that'd be 6 with ambush. Alright, they've got banished to just kill the Eomer, which is sad. Trickery is something. Hold up Trickery Smite here. I could drop Saruman, but if I wait till next turn, I'll have 7 mana to play Saruman and Smite in the same turn and get the trigger. Plus, I get to hold up a Trickery by doing this, so it's not like I'm doing nothing. I think I actually want that to resolve so I have a target for Smite the Deathless. So that I can just Saruman plus Smite next turn, because I can't Saruman and hold up Trickery next turn. Oh, he's block and smite now. But we'll let them keep AoE. Westfold Rider, that is also fine. Westfold Rider is like super fine because we've got multiple little tokens to trade into it. Got a 1/1 for the 3/1. I've got a 2/2 if the 1/1 dies. Ungol Patrol hits the board, a gigantic 4/5 that can make a bunch of food tokens by sacking stuff. There's a Horses. I do have the mana to Horses plus Trickery if Auto Tapper were not a doofus. Maybe if I play the Mountain, Auto Tapper will stop being stupid. But I like to be able to draw a card, discard a card. If I hit a good non-land card that's really good, I can keep that over the Mountain. 2/2 does sneak past the Westfold Rider, so put it there. Won't sneak past an AoE in the future. On to Breaking the Fellowship? Alright, that's not great. It's fine. But I'd rather just hold up Trickery. They have 7 mana. They have enough mana to play the Ungol Patrol, but not the Patrol plus the other thing. So they're going to try to banish Saruman, so we'll make them spend the full 5 and then we'll counter that. Saruman's Trickery, absolute flavor win. Come on. Let my counter spell resolve. There we go. They could have a reprieve. There is a white counterspell in the format. It bounces the spell back to our hand. The awkward part about this is our Ring Bearer is going to trade into the Westfold Rider now, but we still beat in here and hit for 5. Okay. Never mind. Now we can hold full control so that I can removal spell before blocks. And then they can't get rid of my Ring Bearer and they go to 1. Alright, they do have the nasty end to at least draw some cards off that, but go down to 1 life. They're going to have to find 3 blockers here. There's the Ungol Patrol. That's 1 blocker. There's Frodo. That's 2 blockers. That's just 2. I can Lorien Revealed and see if we hit something good. Probably should have tapped the black and red source. Inscription makes something a bigger Ring Bearer. This is still my best Ring Bearer right now. Because it forces a chump with Frodo. To go boom, boom, take 1. I think I just go for it. Attack with everybody. That's 2 blockers. Oh, they can give Frodo lifelink. Oh, no. Uh-oh. That might be bad for me. So they'll survive at 1 life? They'll survive at 2 life. That's a problem. Well, I can make a new Ring Bearer next turn. Wait, they don't survive if they do this. Why did you do that? Alright, never mind. Okay, I guess we are now 2-2. Sure. Yeah, I mean, they could have blocked... Frodo blocks the Ring Bearer and then gains them 2 off of the chump block. They'd be at 1 life. They wouldn't have Frodo anymore, but they'd have a 4/5. I wouldn't have a Saruman. It'd be a 4/5 versus a 3/3 and a 1/1 when they're at 2 instead of dead. That's what I thought was going to happen there, but I guess me not realizing that Frodo gained lifelink did not matter because our opponent did not realize that they could survive or that that block would kill them. So, we'll take it. We are 2-2 now as we head into game 5. Here we are now on the play for game number 5. We've got a real slow hand here, but a real powerful one if we can draw some goods. Again, the hand is really slow, so we're going to grab the land that we need. Find a Saruman's Trickery. Pelargir Survivor will start things off for our opponent, so they're going to do the same thing as us, except quicker. Which is not cool. Birthday Escape. Cycles, draws them a card, gets that ring leveled up. Okay, I'm just going to scry and draw here. Get my opt going, Deceive the Messenger. It doesn't actually do anything right now. And we're still looking for a red source, so I'll ditch that. We do find the mountain. I'm holding up an Isolation or a Saruman's Trickery. I'm going to play Knots themselves, get their scry 1, draw a card. I guess I could have Isolation in response, countered the Knots, and bounced the Survivor. That actually, I probably should have done that. That would have been pretty sweet. Now I can Isolation their level 2 Ring Bearer, though, and just completely counteract that. Okay. I can play an Envelope and still have the Trickery up. I think that's annoying enough to counter with horses in hand. Need to wait till I have 8 mana to be able to cast Lorien Revealed and hold up Trickery. I need to draw 1 more land. Kind of need to do that against the blue-red deck with 4 open mana. Do I just sanction early on a Navigator? That does not feel right. I don't think I can afford to have Lorien Revealed get countered here and then I'm not holding anything up. Yeah, I'll just hold up Trickery and really hope to draw a land, because then I can cast Lorien Revealed, and if they try to Trickery my Lorien Revealed, I Trickery their Trickery. Beautiful, we find the land. Just take 4 on board. I could horses instead, but we'll go for the Lorien Revealed here. And that just immediately resolves. Drop Fiery Inscription then. Well, yeah, I guess now they don't have the 3 mana up if they have their own Trickery. They only have 2 for a potential Gale. Down to 9. Now they have enough for potentially a Trickery and a Gale, so if they have 2 counter spells, they get us here, but if they only have 1, we can win this counter war with Trickery. I'm not going to cast Sanction this turn, so we'll go pay like this. They could have another Glorious Gale. Or a burn spell for Faramir. Alright. I guess they went for the Gale to try to get the ring to tempt them. Down to 5. They have their own sanction, we will die to that. They are tapped out. We can get our horses now, just guaranteed. Can also ransom immediately if I want to get the draw a card, discard a card. Actually, horses is going to do that as well. If I ransom, then I get level 4 ring bearer. That's the bonus there. Probably worth it. Then my opponent knows I don't have a counterspell up though, which is an issue, because then if they have Gandalf Sanction, they're just going to cast it and kill me. Or if they have a haste creature. By just holding up ransom, they might think I have a counterspell. I don't know how much that's worth, really. Maybe it's worth the 3 extra damage. Okay, drawn to rally now. Think it's best to play rally and then still threaten Glorious Gale. But now if they have Gandalf Sanction, they win, but they don't win with like Éomer. Hasting through my 1/1s, they just can't do that. Oh, Erebor Flamesmith. Take a damage every time they cast an instant or sorcery. There's Fear Fire Foes to wipe our entire board. Seems pretty fair. There's Quarrel's End. We're down to 3. Okay, so I could ransom. They're down to 11, and I draw 2. And I can sanction. They're down to 9. And take another 7, go to like 2 life. If I draw any cheap instant or sorcery off Sauron's Ransom, I could win here. And I think that's like the only way that I probably win, because I think if they untap, they're going to kill me, even if I kill Flamesmith with Sanction. They're just really likely to kill me with something. Just need a 4 mana or less instant or sorcery, and we can find the kill. So if they reveal one, I'll take it. Alright, Breaking the Fellowship, I pick that, and I think it kills them. Well, the other pile goes into the grave, so it's definitely going to kill them. Because if there's any instant sorceries in the other pile, then that just fills my grave anyway. Alright, and we sanction it up, and that is going to be putting them to -3, -2. I can do math, I promise. We are now 3-2, a really big recovery after the first 2 losses, guaranteed to be getting at least 1,000 gems out of this event and at least a 50-50 run. Really nice comeback here, but we'll see if we can't keep it going as we head into round number 6. This is basically a 5-land hand, which is getting a little sketchy. I might mulligan this. It's right on the borderline. We have the Deceive for their early threat. We have Isolation for a later one, but gotta draw into some gas here. I'm gonna mulligan this one. Alright, this is a bit better. I think I get rid of... yeah, I get rid of Isolation here. Blue-red mirror match again, let's go! Birthday Escape. Find Shire Terrace. Rally at the Hornburg is the draw. Just gonna hold up Trickery. Crack the terrace if I don't cast it. They just stuck on 2 lands? They certainly are. Now I can play a 1-drop and hold up Trickery. But I don't have a 1-drop. How badly do I need to trickery a 3-mana spell? It's possible. If they play like a fiery inscription or something, that would be really important to trickery. Be very valuable to do so. So I'll probably just keep holding up trickery, which just kind of gives them a little more time to stabilize, which isn't great, but next turn I get to just play rally and still have trickery up, and then we can start casting spells from then on. Elrond is annoying. Guess I can Hithflame Knots and then still get my rally damage in, which is what's annoying me about the Elrond. Not really that I'm like particularly scared. It's just that it can block, basically. That's annoying. Alright, we got our rally down, we've got trickery up again. Super happy to see them racing. That means our little 1/1s can get in again. So 1/4, that's pretty annoying as well. But I can just cast horses now. Just bounce both their creatures. Then that's a turn where I don't hold trickery up, but could definitely be worth it. We get a level 2 ring bearer by doing this. Yeah, let's do it. They can resolve a fiery inscription if they want. Leechcraft on my ring bearer, so I'll have to move that around, but that's not a huge deal. Okay. Well, all of my spells are interactive, so I can't do anything right now. Can't move the ring to my other 1/1 yet, which is kind of sad. Smite. That's pretty fine. They spent 2 removal spells on my 2 1/1s that I got from 1 rally at the Hornburg, so that just puts us up in card advantage. We're perfectly happy with that. Swarming of Moria. Sure. The treasure could be a little bad for me, but whatever they cast off the treasure, I can still trickery. It's a big draw. If I cast this, I don't hold up trickery for a turn, but I have Breaking the Fellowship to deal with something that's resolved. We'll go for it. Ooh, drawn to an Aomer. Let's go. Now I have Glorious Gale up since I did hit an island, which is beautiful. Gale the Gandalf. Now I have a forever tapped level 3 ring-bearing human. Let's go. I'm 1 mana off from holding up trickery. That's so sad, I cry every time. Well, doming them for 5 a turn is worth it. Foray of Orcs. Deceive is going to be so good here. No thanks. I will keep my Aomer. And then I can just deceive again when they go for the block. Actually, Sanction might just kill them. They're at 11, they take 3, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, Sanction absolutely kills them. Doesn't even matter what I deceive here. And then I Sanction and shoot them for 4. And then they take 12. No, they take 8 damage, I mean. 12 total from all of this stuff combined. Puts them to -1. Alright. We are now 4-2. We made it all the way from an 0-2 start to breaking even in value, getting 1,400 gems and 3 packs to balance out that 1,500 gem entry fee. Excellent turnaround here. Very, very happy that we've gotten to do some of the sweet stuff that our deck is capable of. Again, see if we can just keep rolling with some wins here as we head into round number 7. Alright, here we are for game 7. Pretty great opening hand. It is mono blue, but most of our deck is blue, and we have the envelope to help fix that. Now I have 5 total mana in my hand, so I'm not going to Island Cycle the Lorien Revealed. I'll just get the draw 3 off of it. Playing against blue-green, they start with an Arwen, which we're going to have to kill immediately to stop them from going crazy with those +1/+1 counters, so I'm just going to insta-smite that while they're tapped out. That'll exile it as well, which is good, because green does have some graveyard recursion. There's like Revive the Shire that can pick up any permanent from your graveyard. Here's an Elrond. Definitely not as bad as Arwen, but certainly something to be a little worried about when they are a scry deck. Ooh, we've got a potential Faramir coming up. Let's get that envelope down so we can cast Faramir next turn. So if they get 2 creatures down, then they scry 1 and the Ring Tempts them. They scry 2 when the Ring Tempts them, if they play 2 creatures. But just an Arwen's Gift, which is scry 2. Scry 2, draw 2 cards. Okay, so we drop Faramir, get the blue source down, pass. This will be our first time we actually get the trigger. So no matter what, we're going to at least draw a card or make 3 1/1s, one of those 2 things. And that's even if they kill Faramir immediately. There's a chance Met Elves, very good with the Elrond. It's going to start as a 4/3 already. Probably going to have to deceive to stop their Ent's Fury or something here. Ent's Fury would be super bad for me because they'd also get a +1/+1 counter on the elves. Okay, just a Woe's Pathfinder. That's fine. That actually, I'm very happy to see that, because that gives me a great target if I draw into like a Gandalf Sanction later to be my potential win condition. Ooh, Deceive might go real well for me now. And it certainly will, because they are tapped out and they do go for the attack with Elrond, so we can clear out their consistent scry engine and get the 3 1/1s. And this is going to make things just really hard for our opponent to break through, because if they just keep attacking with Chance Met Elves, I can chump with 1 1/1 and then get 3 more every turn. So Faramir's doing his thing. Okay, there's the Stew the Conies. Faramir is no longer doing his thing, but he does get a second trigger during this end step at least. That has got to be a combat trick, right? I think I'm just going to not block and then have like 7 1/1s to block next turn if I need to. I could also just attack with everybody here. They're going to have a 3/4 blocker up. Ooh, Eowyn's the draw? Oh my god. I can AO in the Chance Med Elves later. For now, I'm going to get more damage in, I think. Yeah, let's just get big here. I can play Aomer and Rally and still have more than enough blockers to not die. So what, they kill a 1/1 here, and then Pathfinder can give one of their creatures trample if they hit another land. So they can make an 8-power trampler. I have to take all that, but I have got 2 1/1s. I can guarantee a chump on the guide, just like elsewhere. Actually, Aomer makes another 1/1, so let's just send all those in. And I'll still have 2 1/1s. So just lock in a chump somewhere. They are going to take it all, go down to 7. They do have a food on board, so they can be functionally at 10 if they need to be. And they are over it. They concede the game. We are 5-2. In the money after that 0-2 start. Lovely to get a nice turnaround like that. And get some value out of this draft. We're going to be leaving with more gems than it took to enter. We're at 1,600 gems and 4 packs for that icing on the cake. Super, super happy with that, but I'll still play the best that I can and hope that we can get maybe another win or two. We'll see as we head into round number 8. Alright, this is definitely a potentially awkward hand. If we hit any 2 lands, getting to a Saruman and Aomer is pretty strong. We have a Gale for an early creature. If I don't hit any black sources, this Ransom is going to be sitting here doing nothing. Gonna have to draw decently. But any 2 lands means these later. We are on the draw. I'll keep it. Could definitely see this not working out for us, though. We'll see. So far, so good. Rally at the Hornburg's definitely a solid addition to this hand. We are playing against blue-red, so I don't really want to hold up Gale turn 3 against a blue-red deck, because they're not likely to have a ton of creature spells in general. Alright, Dreadful as the Storm for the combat trick, so they trade Dreadful as the Storm for our Rally at the Hornburg. That is fair enough. Now we can freely hold up Glorious Gale, because it's not like we're doing anything else. Well, they do have a 4/4 trample. I guess we are going to Gale that. Would not have expected that in that archetype, but there you go. Expect the unexpected. Well, this is a bit awkward. We found our lands for our 5-drops, but we also just drew another 5-drop, so we've got nothing to do on turn 4. Didn't hit the black source for Ransom. Luckily not under a ton of pressure since we did have the counterspell for the 4/4. But now they have a bunch of mana up for potential counterspells. So what do I do here to play around that? Do I just horses? Yeah, I'll horses here, so if they have trickery, they just use it on horses. They don't have trickery. They probably have a Gale or 2. Depends on how they tap here. If they tap in a way to hold up 2 mana, then they probably do. Okay, they tap out, but it's because they have Aomer, so now I'm just going to die because they resolved their Aomer first. I mean, I can play my Aomer and hold up a Deceive the Messenger, but if they have Burn for this Aomer, it's RIP, folks. Would take a lot of Burn, though. Alright, they didn't have a trickery, or they would have definitely countered Horses of the Bruinen, so Deceive should resolve here, but they might have their own Deceive, and then nobody dies. Dreadful as a Storm, 5, 6. 6 damage, I go to 3. That's rough. Yeah, I think our hand was just a bit too slow here. I mean, do I have to just trade Aomers now? Can I afford to go to 3 to keep an Aomer? Then they have a 1/1 menace and 2 1/1s on board? Against a 3-life person with an Aomer? I don't think I can afford to do that. Actually, I'd have an Aomer and a 1/1. I don't know. I'll just try. Battle-Scarred Goblin, okay. They didn't have any counterspells, so if I just went for it, things would have been going a lot better. If I just went for Aomer, we would have resolved ours before theirs. I hold up just as many blockers attacking with Aomer. As I get my 1/1 blocker up. I have smaller blockers, but I have the same amount. Drawn to a Hithlane Knots. That's actually really good here. If they draw anything where the ring tempts them, they're going to kill us, but if they don't, this is a good hand for stabilizing. This board state in particular is really good for stabilizing. Because we kill Goblin without losing anything, we kill a 1/1 without losing anything, we trade into that one, we just take 1 damage here. Alright, but they top decked the combat trick. What can you do? Alright, well, in hindsight, if I didn't play around a counterspell, if I didn't play around Glorious Gale, we would have won probably. I think it was still correct though, because they had like 4 mana up, and we had still a reasonable line of dropping horses there. And that could tell us if they have Saruman's Trickery or not. We know for sure they didn't have Trickery from playing that. And then, again, plays so much better against Gale. And these blue-red decks tend to have like 2-3 copies on average, and they had so much mana up. Without knowing for sure what they had in hand, I don't think that was an unreasonable play at all, but it did cost us the game, which is unfortunate. Still a really close one. Obviously, it doesn't look like it in the end with them at 15 and me at 1, but had they not top-decked Gimli's Fury, then they make this attack, we wipe their whole board and take 1. We'd be at 2 life with Hithlane Knots up to tap down the Ring Bearer next turn, and we're jamming in with Aomer and Saruman, dealing like 8 damage, getting a 1/1 blocker. Really, Gimli's Fury. Really, without top decking something there, they would have lost in only a couple turns, so super close game in the end, but we don't quite get there. We are 5-3 though, which is a great recovery from the 0-2 start. I think every single loss today, this is going to be one of those interesting drafts to look back on gameplay-wise. I think the draft itself went pretty well. Obviously, we played a deck with a bit of a loose mana base, and certainly that was part of our first loss for sure. But overall, I think the draft itself went pretty well. I'm pretty happy with this deck. It was a lot of fun, and it was plenty powerful. The gameplay is going to be interesting to look back on, though, because all 3 of our games involve alternate lines that would have got us into a much better position and potentially won us the game. But they're the kind of things that you have to look back on and think, are they winning us the game just because of hindsight? Are these better plays against other cards that they could have had? Or are they just straight up, we should have went for those lines every time, not knowing what our opponents have? Because it's really easy to say, when you see that your opponent doesn't have Gales, by the time the game ends, it's really easy to just be like, well, I should have just jammed it out. But you have to think like, well, how dead would you have been if they did have the Gale there in an archetype that usually runs 2+ copies of Gale in a board state where they had like 2 cards in hand and 4 mana up? Like, it's reasonable to think that there's a high likelihood that they have Gale there. And you have to consider, how bad is it for me if they Gale my Aomer versus how bad is it for me if they don't have the Gale and I don't jam out the Aomer. So there's a lot of hindsight little things like that to look back on. Obviously, the Palantir game, that one's even more nebulous because you have to be like, what are the odds and percentages of the amount of damage I take off of a mill 3 on average? When they scryed one card to the top, I ended up taking 8, which I feel like is a lot off of a mill 3. We knew that they scryed 1 to the top, but even if they scryed 1 to the top, the odds of that being a 6-drop are pretty low. The vast majority of decks in this format are going to play like 2 6-drops maximum. And I think they would scry anything with mana value 3 or more to the top of the deck for extra burn. So there's a lot to think about with the Palantir game of whether or not to mill and take the damage or not. That did cost us because we took exactly 5 exact lethal in the end. A lot of little things like that. Pretty interesting games overall today for sure. And a solid record, super fun deck. I will absolutely take it. We're going to be leaving this draft with 1,600 gems and 4 packs, more than it took to enter, and some packs as a bonus. Very, very nice stuff. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you're interested in seeing some more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link or the join button below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.